Hello, my name is Kapil, and I have a few thoughts to share about this whole ongoing discussion, this whole protest that's been happening in our country. I usually don't do this, I don't make videos, even though I've thought of making them a lot of times. So, yes, I'm still here. So, I have a few thoughts and I want to share them. I don't want to stay quiet, stay silent. I want to share some of my thoughts. And I'm emotional, obviously, as well about this whole thing. I'm emotional because I love this country and I'm very passionate and I want to improve the quality of life for people here. I want to see our country kind of be at a leading position at a world stage. I want our economy to be doing better. I want our youth to be doing better. And to see this kind of massive movement at a younger age, I think I would have felt very inspired and would have wanted to physically participate in the protest as well. But today, I think with what's going on in the world, where we are, and how far behind we are as a country compared to the rest of the world, I think this attention and focus and effort in protesting rather than taking up the work yourself to be responsible for your own life, to bring change through your own effort, is something that is not going to be helping us. I'm a little bit uncomfortable speaking in this video, obviously, because my intention is to share this with the world, and I'm very sensitive to people's reactions, how they will react, how they will perceive me and my thoughts. So that makes me nervous, and that cripples a little bit of what I want to share and how I want to share it. So I'm going to take a little bit of time to become comfortable. देखो, the emotional sentiment जो हम सब feel कर रहे हैं of like frustration with what's been going on, and across different aspects of society, including the paper leak and the suicides that took place, the movement, and the protest overall, and how it has brought people together. That there is a strong emotional sentiment right now among the youth, and I think while the emotions are very good, they are like meaningful. They are not correctly placed if your intention is to actually bring change and fix things. If you're serious about fixing things, about fixing this country, about building a better future for all of us, if you seriously want that to happen, this is not how it's going to happen. I know you believe that this is the most power you have other than voting to protest, and that is all you can do, but this is not the way to build our future. In fact, I would even say that it distracts you or even fools you into thinking that this is enough and that you have accomplished something, when in reality you have not. The DNA of the problem is still there and it will always be there. And whatever emotional sentiment you might be feeling, and all of us might be feeling in the present moment, It will be temporary. You will go back to your routine life. All of us will go back soon enough. Everything will be forgotten like it has always been. And the issues, the crime, the problems, everything will repeat endlessly, because there is a problem at a system level, there is a problem at a DNA level. You can get a resignation of a person in authority, and that is not going to change anything. You can change the entire government, and that is not going to change anything. None of the actual problems are going to be solved through all of this effort. It is just not going to be solved. That is the practical view. So I grew up as an idealist, as a very emotional, principle idealist. But then I looked at what was happening in the world, as simple as that, and what is real and what is practical. And I came to certain realizations that have matured me in some ways, I would say. And I am still the same person who's very emotional and principled in terms of, like, value to be produced and things to be done, what is meaningful in our life. And I want to encourage people who feel so strongly, and you're not driven by a certain political agenda, but you genuinely want things to improve, regardless of an association with any political party or whatever, ideology or whatever. You want the people of this country to be doing better. You want their life to be of better quality. You want the problems to reduce and go away. You want our country to flourish at a global stage. If these are the values and ideals you carry, then I urge you to look at realistically what is happening in the world today. And I know what I'm going to talk about here is not really that relevant to the discussion, the political discussion, but I would, in fact, put my foot down and say that it is relevant. It is relevant because it is brand new, completely never before seen entity. you know it's a revolution of its own that's happening in our world, and we are observing it, we are involved, we are consuming it, and we are acting as if nothing is really happening. And I'm talking about, obviously, AI, artificial intelligence, and the way it is moving forward, the progress it's making, how quickly it's improving, and the second order and third order effects on society. Okay, so all of you have smartphones, all of you have laptops, internet access. We have all been on the internet for at least 20 years, or less, but we are more or less born on the internet, so we are used to it. We are comfortable with it, and what do we do with it? Mostly consuming reels, watching videos, watching movies, talking to our friends, all of that, which is fair and good. But at the same time, this entire protest started because of frustration with education. Do you not realize what's happening in the entire world? Education as a whole organization, as a structured, passage of knowledge across domains, is transforming significantly around the world. We started with, simple classroom structures with the teachers, students, whatever. We moved on to, like, we have smart classes, all of that, of course, across schools. There's different kinds of pedagogy programs. There's a lot of research in how the brain learns, how it adapts, all of that. And at the same time, we also have change in terms of information distribution. Okay, knowledge that was only accessible to an exclusive group of people is accessible to you, to me, to everyone, because we have access to the internet. The best universities in the world have most of their knowledge available free of cost on the internet. Okay, from Harvard, Stanford, all the Ivy League colleges, etc. Forget about universities. The best educators in the world are publishing everything, sharing everything across every domain. Okay, and that has been going on for at least 20 years. A lot of people have taken advantage of it. People like me. I did not go to college, never went to college, never applied, don't have any degrees, don't have any certifications. Today I work in a senior position in a company. My package salary puts me somewhere in the 1% of this country in terms of my earnings and tax bracket, etc. Um, I'm doing quite well financially, and I have no degrees, no certificates, nothing. How did I do that? By teaching myself through resources available online. I made my life by simply accessing the information that is available to all of us and using it to learn, adapt. And I keep doing it every single year, constantly. I'm learning, adapting, figuring things out, not to the level that I would like to. There's a lot more I could have done. I'm not satisfied with the pace at which I have taken advantage of this. And but if I compare it with everyone else I look at in society, all of you, all of whom have access to the same knowledge and information and tools, seems like no one is really even taking advantage of it, honestly. And that comes down to personal responsibility. And I actually tried building a company quite a few years ago. Instead of going to college, I tried building a company to help people learn through online resources to make it easier, because I realized that some of the challenges with learning by yourself is the information is like scattered, it's everywhere, and you don't know what path to follow, etc. So I built a community, I tried building curriculums, I tried doing a lot of stuff to make it easier for people to learn on their own through online resources. And then I realized the problem is not really even that. The problem is simply people just don't have the motivation to learn. They just, if a person doesn't have the motivation to learn themselves, there's nothing you can do about it. And I envisioned a future where we would have a AI tool that could function as a personal tutor, and you could ask it any questions you want, you could customize it, personalize it, and it works with you, and it can help you learn anything, adapt to anything, you know. That's the most brilliant level of technology that could have been available to any human being across the entire history of humanity. Never in our entire existence on this planet have we had access to something like that. Only a few people with luxury, with wealth, had access to personal tutors. And I could envision that future many years ago. Um, and today, we have something of that level. We have AI tools available to us that we can talk to anytime. It can summarize any information, any knowledge, teach us anything. And we can personalize it, customize it, we can bother it with as many questions as we want, we can be stupid, we can go as far as we want, we can ask it to break down anything without any shame. We can learn anything, we can master things, we can adapt, all of that. And is it being utilized? Forget about even for a second like this aspect of it, the education aspect. Look at what's happening in the world today. If you look at so the world has been moving very fast in the last 10-20 years. So I'm going to ask a few questions here to Gemini. um, can you show me the top companies in the world based on their valuation over the last 20 years? Can you just given an answer? Post.com, Energy Boom, blah blah blah. Can you present it in a graph. I'm going to take you down certain thought process here, a perspective. It's going to go through the data, run the tool, write the code, and generate a graph. So this is the graph. This is the companies: Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Alphabet, Google, ExxonMobil, and General Electric. They were traditional leaders. They're not in the top anymore. Um, but we can look at Nvidia, Apple, Google, Microsoft. There'll be a couple of others here, but we can look at this. And today, these are close to around 3.54 trillion in valuation. Can you show the graph of the top 10 companies today based on valuation and their trends over time, mapped over the top 10 countries based on GDP today with their trends over time. Let's look at this. So I want to understand today, like paint a picture of the world at a global stage. Top 10 countries globally based on the GDP, top 10 companies. Top 10 companies by market cap, trajectory. Nvidia is very close to 5 trillion here, and Apple is right there. We have Microsoft, Alphabet is right there, Google is right there, and they're all like trailing behind. Of course, we also have SpaceX coming into this. Like I think Tesla, SpaceX is coming into this segment, and we have even Anthropic and OpenAI planning to go public very soon with more than 1 trillion in valuation right out of the gate, and they're like just few years old as companies. And here we have countries. United States is about $30 trillion in valuation. In 2014 they were around 17 trillion dollars ish. 2006 they were around 10-12 trillion dollars ish. China is past like almost past 20 trillion dollars in valuation, like in GDP. In 2014 they were around 10 trillion dollars. And here we have India. Somewhere here we have India. And if we also, can you present the map of graph of countries as per GDP compared to the population density in those countries versus the penetration and access to internet across those countries, and also the IQ range across those countries. Ignore the chart for these. Let's focus on the countries. So we'll do some more analysis here. I think the point is made here. We have companies from the United States that are higher in valuation as a company, or pretty much, yeah, like Nvidia, Apple are higher in valuation than the entire GDP of our entire country, with our 1.5 billion plus population. So that is one point to be made about the world we live in today. um, let's look at this. What is this? Nominal GDP trillions. The United States, Germany, Japan, India. um, Population density, India has the highest people per kilometer, right? Like, so there's like 435 people per kilometer square or whatever. Internet penetration rate, United States, China, Germany, India, 70%, 94. Pretty good, like especially looking at the population density and overall, like population we have, 70% of population seems to have access to the internet. While in the United States, it's like 95. Average IQ score, India seems to be at 82. United States 97, China at 104. Significant difference here. Okay. What is the volume of Indian population with IQ scores of more than 100? Exact numbers. Exactly 50% of the tested population fall above 100. Um, 160 million people. Let's look at this. Around 8 million people. 8 million people. Even under conservative global benchmarks, India possesses roughly 8.3 million to 14 million, 15 million people, scoring above 120. Exceeds the entire population of countries like Switzerland, Austria, and or Israel. Okay. ठीक है. So we have, like, let's say 10 million people. 10 million is what, 1 crore people who seem to have above 120 IQ, roughly ish. What percentage of these 10 million people with more than 120 IQ are migrating and settling in other countries such as US? I'm sure we have people less than 120 in IQ as well who are migrating, but I just want to look at, you know, the data point because these are some of the smartest people we have. There is no data as countries, however, demographics economists track this phenomenon through proxy of high skill talent, etc. Da, 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 da. Yeah, so around 15% of this population might be traveling to the US and migrating there, which is fine. So, uh, this paints a little bit of a picture of where we are today, right? We have access to the internet, we have access to sophisticated AI tools that can customize, personalize, and interact with you and teach you, explain you things. Um, we have a world economy where we have private, like public companies that have GDP, like the valuation of their companies is higher than the GDP of our country, as simple as that. And if we look at, can you provide a chart of the top companies created within the last 20 years in India and their global impact compared to companies created in US and China and their global impact? Meaning, what regions and parts of the world do they serve via their products and services, thereby solving the problems of that region or that market segment? Can you present this on a global map itself as well? So let's look at, in the last 20 years, the companies we have had in this country built, scaled up, and how much impact um, they have over the world. I want to have this data visualized ideally. Can you help visualize this data? I don't think this is a good visualization. Meta, Flipkart. Flipkart, Paytm, Ola, Byju's is just one of the most shit companies we have come out with. OU Rooms, Razorpay is a good company. This is American, Alphabet, YouTube acquisition, Google, Meta, Facebook, WhatsApp, Uber, Stripe, Zoom, OpenAI, Chinese companies, ByteDance, TikTok, Xiaomi, DD Global, Ant Group. It's not able to visualize it. But I think you get the idea of what I'm trying to point out here, right? While all of this is happening in the world today, while we have access to tools, while the world economy is moving in this direction and the pace at which it's moving, we have let's also look at this. What percentage of the Indian population today is less than 30 years of age? What percentage of the population will be youth in 2030 and 2040? Our population is young compared to the world. We have a demographic shift. One of the youngest major economies in the world. Total fertility rate is changing. Approximately 50% of the Indian population is under 30 years old. Okay, this is people who were born after 1995, including me. More around 50% of this country is people who were born after 1995, and for a pretty big chunk of our life we have seen only some things. um, we have gotten access to the internet, to social media, and we have had some aspects of changes, in terms of how many people have gotten out of poverty in the last 30 years, etc., as well. Um, but we live in a world today that is moving faster towards the future than we have ever in the past. And our youth today seems to be distracted, seems to not really see what's happening in front of us, and seems to not really be able to take advantage of um, the access we have and the reality of the situation, like the seriousness needed from us to put in effort, to put in our intelligence, our mind, in creating things that solve problem for the world, right? The world outside of India. The companies that are leading the world economy, including Apple, etc., they're able to do so not just because of capitalism or whatever, but because they're solving problems for the entire world. Okay, and even if it's like a like either it's like solving problems for the entire world or solving problems at such a magnitude with such level of engineering and ingenuence that it cannot be replicated easily, right? So why are we not able to participate at this level? Why are we not able to build companies that are able to solve problems at a global stage? Why do we not have, for example, a language model that can compete at a world stage? Why are we so far behind? Why do we have such, um, you know, like poor risk appetite? Why do we not dare? Why do we not envision? Why do we not, you know, build a grander future? A lot of the problems in this country will be solved if we are making a lot more money. It is as simple as that. And I don't know, there's a lot of very bad thought process and ideas around money, about like companies making money, etc. You have the phone you have today because of capitalism. You are sheltered because of money, about because your parents had a job, because they contributed to the economy. Everything is functional and moving in a positive direction for everyone, including access to medicine, food, everything, because of engineering and capital and solving problems. People solving problems and having, doing, participating in transactions, exchanging value. Stop being influenced with bad ideas. Think for a minute. Imagine a reality where we have significantly more employment because we have people building companies that are solving problems for people in this country and the entire world, across every single segment, sector, everywhere. Solving problems, employing hundreds, thousands, and thousands of people. Imagine all of them doing better, okay? And the cascade of positive impact it has. People have more money, they are able to spend more money. They're able to spend more money, the economy is stimulated, the people with, not as qualified of a job, etc., also will be making better money and doing better. They'll be able to provide better education as well, start leveling up. You can't fix things at every micro level, but at a macro level, these things, like if India was a $10 trillion economy or a $15 trillion, $20 trillion economy, a lot of things would be different in this country. Why are we not there? If you look at China's trajectory of its GDP, you will see a significant growth in the last 20 years, right? I think this is the GDP from 2006 onwards, steadily, steadily growing from under $5 trillion to now crossing $20 trillion. And this benefits the population of China, even if it's an authoritarian country. Uh, Whatever the reality of its politics might be, internally, the lives of the people in the country would be qualitatively better compared to poverty, compared to suffering, compared to a whole bunch of choke points and bottlenecks that creep into societies because you don't have money to distribute. Money being just like representation of a healthy, functional economy where value is actively being exchanged between people. Okay, where you're able to produce value and others are able to produce value and you're able to exchange it properly. In the absence of that is where you have absolute suffering, right? And especially when the quality of life gets defined by standards such as, like access to medicine, access to food, access to a functional judicial system, low crime, safety, everything, right? Like if you forego everything and are okay with living in a jungle type environment, sure, in a commune, in a jungle type environment, sure, you can, like, and that's fine. And if you're satisfied with that quality of life, that's great. But I don't think you can expect a billion plus people to live in that, manner. It's just not something that makes sense, that fits into the world we live in today, and especially if you're participating in the global economy as a country, right? Yes, we have very rich roots from our past, but that doesn't mean or doesn't limit us from designing a whole different form of country that is spiritual, maybe, sure, it is grounded, it is connected to nature, to more, depth of realities, and there's kindness, there's families, there's values, all of that, but also killing it, absolutely killing it, absolutely being able to compete at the world stage, being able to produce value for the entire world and being able to capture that value. Okay, so my simple view is this, that be emotional, be, sentimental, do care, but do something about it. And if you tell yourself I can't because I'm powerless, you're bullshitting yourself. All of us are bullshitting ourselves by saying that we can't do it. You absolutely can do it. You have the time. If you have the time to watch reels, you have the time. You have the time. It's just what you choose to focus on and what you choose to put effort towards. What is your ambition? What do you want to make out of your life, of your existence? We have 50% of this country is under 30 years old. We have a lot of years ahead of us. We have our minds, we have access to the tools. A good chunk of us are pretty smart as well, right? So nothing is stopping you. No one is stopping you. Okay? We are not in a dictatorship, even if those are sentiments and fears being shared and spread around. We are not. We do have access and freedom to learn, to build, to solve, to create value, to live, everything. Um, and if you come back with reasons why it's not possible, then I'm sorry, but you are part of the problem. You're part of the reason why it will not be possible. If you genuinely think it is not possible because of XYZ reasons at your capacity or people around you or whatever, then you're part of the roadblock. You're part of the bottleneck, part of the friction, and it doesn't help. It doesn't help. Like, let's be ambitious, let's be daring, let's get out there and try to do with all of our might. And if even if we fail, but we fail with the absolute, the vision and the determination to make it. Why start the journey or be in the journey with the mindset that we can't make it or it's not possible? On the other side, maybe 10, 20, 30 years later, we still fail and we are still behind, lagging behind significantly. But why operate with that mindset? You know? So I want to direct your attention towards this kind of a perspective. Um, and I think that is important because if you are genuinely emotional about everything in this country, if you want to solve problems of this country, if you want the quality of life for everyone to be better, then I think you should pay more attention to all of this information I shared with you, like this perspective, and think about what you should be doing with your time, with your mind, with the access you have, the tools you have, everything. What can you solve? What value can you create? It's not enough, like this whole idea of let's all come together, we share our emotional sentiments, we are hurt. Sure, we can accomplish a resignation, we can accomplish maybe even a transformation in the government, but nothing is going to improve because the problem is at a deeper level, at the DNA level. Okay? You're not going to actually fix the country and make it better for its people by operating like this. So, if you want results, if you're serious about results and not just being emotional and acting out, then you need to take more grander perspective about things, and there needs to be effort put into making that happen at a grander scale than shouting slogans and gathering and like protesting for a resignation. Okay, that's my view.